Welcome back, everyone. Scurv here, the Scurv podcast. Let me ask you something real. Why does it feel easier to tell your secrets to a stranger than to your closest friend? It sounds backwards, but most people know exactly what that feeling is like. A stranger feels safe in a strange way. There's no history, no pressure, no story attached to your name. You speak without fear of judgment because there really is nothing to lose. The stranger meets you in the present moment, not who you were, not who you used to be, not the version people expect you to stay. Just who you are right now. That creates freedom. You don't feel boxed in by past mistakes, old rules, or old labels. You feel human, not just defined. But the people closest to you carry memory. They remember your old fears, your old habits, your old limits. They don't mean harm, but familiarity creates identity. Over time, you become a character in their mind, a version of you that feels safe, known, and predictable. When you try to change, that identity pushes back, not with control, but with expectation, not with anger, but with comfort. You feel it when your voice hesitates. You feel it when you edit your truth before you speak. You feel it when you choose silence over honesty. This is why so many awakenings happen in quiet places, online spaces, and random conversations. Because truth moves freely when nothing is at stake. No bonds to protect, no image to maintain, no version of yourself to defend. Identity feels like safety, but it can also become a cage. People learn who you are, and you learn who you're allowed to be. Over time, this becomes an unspoken agreement. You stay familiar, and they stay comfortable. You stay predictable, and you stay accepted. This is how growth gets delayed without anyone trying to stop it. Most people don't fear change itself. They fear losing connection. They fear being misunderstood. They fear becoming unfamiliar to people who once felt like home. So they shrink their truth to protect their relationships. They edit their thoughts. They soften their voice. They hide their questions, not because they're fake, but because they're afraid. A stranger holds no past version of you. There is no image to protect, no role to perform. You can speak freely because you're not managing perception. You're just being present. That's why honesty flows easier. There is no social cost. A stranger can reflect you without attachment. They can tell you the truth without fear of losing you. They don't owe your comfort their silence. They don't owe your image their agreement. They simply respond to who you are in the moment. In that reflection, something powerful happens. You meet yourself without defense, without performance, without a mask. You hear your own truth clearly because no one is trying to reshape it. This is why people change when they travel. This is why distance creates clarity. This is why new environments unlock new versions of yourself. When nobody knows who you are free to become who you are. Rebirth needs space. It needs a place where your old identity cannot follow you, where your past does not speak for you, where your reputation does not define you, where your mistakes don't introduce you. In those spaces, you don't have to defend who you are becoming. You don't have to explain your growth. You don't have to justify your change. You just live it. Most people stay small to stay recognized. They stay silent to stay included. They stay the same to stay loved. Not because they want to, but because connection feels like survival. So they carry two selves, the real self and the accepted self, the honest self and the safe self, the growing self and the familiar self. And over time, this split creates quiet suffering. You feel it as restlessness. You feel it as emptiness. You feel it as frustration you can't name. You feel it as a sense that you are living below your potential. The future version of you begins the moment you allow yourself to be misunderstood. Growth always looks like confusion to people who knew your past. Change always feels like betrayal to old expectations. Expansion always feels like distance to familiar minds. But becoming requires discomfort, not chaos, not destruction, just courage. The courage to let go of old roles, the courage to outgrow old versions, the courage to stop performing for approval. When you stop protecting old images, you make room for a new identity. When you stop shrinking your truth, you start building your future. When you stop living for recognition, you start living for alignment. If you woke up tomorrow in a city where nobody knew you, who would you become? How would you speak? How would you move? What would you stop pretending to be? What would you finally allow yourself to grow into? That version of you is real, not the survival version, not the edited version, not the pleasing version, the honest version, the unfiltered version, the free version. That version is waiting. Most people never meet their real self because they are loyal to an old identity. They protect who they were instead of who they are becoming. They defend the past instead of building the future. Freedom begins when you stop performing and start existing. When you stop editing and start expressing. When you stop shrinking and start standing. Growth doesn't require approval. It requires honesty. Change doesn't require permission. It requires courage. Transformation doesn't require agreement. It only requires alignment. If speaking to strangers feels easier than speaking to loved ones, it's not a flaw. It's a signal. A signal that a deeper version of you is trying to breathe. And maybe that version of you is listening right now, waiting, ready, patient. So I leave you with this question. If nobody knew you, who would you finally allow yourself to be? Sit with that, because that answer is the beginning of your awakening. I hope you understood what I was trying to accomplish, and I hope you really think about those words I just shared. I'm not going to say much more. I just want to say I love you. I want to see you to continue to grow. I'm growing. I want to see you grow. Let's evolve into the best versions of ourselves. Scurv out. On to the next one. Peace.